Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team, we've got Dane from the art side of things, and then we've got Dirk from the game design side of things. How we doing today? I'll start with you, Dane. What's up, man?
I'm doing good. A lot of meetings as always. A lot of new staff, a lot of things happening. So always busy.
Awesome, awesome. Nice to catch up with you again here on the podcast. And Mr. Dirk, how you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty good. Same as Dane. Pretty busy Friday so far. It's like kind of funny that Fridays I feel like used to be one of our slower days. We even were talking about, hey, maybe we get everything done in a 4-day week. Now it's Friday. I feel like Friday is hands down the busiest day of the week.
Yeah, it's it's
But
it's trying to make sure everything gets wrapped up properly for the week. Yeah, it always
yeah, exactly.
ends up a ton of stuff
More,
squeezed in there. Well, what we were thinking was we would update all of you here real quick as kind of like an internal chat. Since we've got Dane from the art side and Dirk from the design side, we would just kind of talk about what's going well, maybe what's been a challenge so far now that we're kind of over a year into the process of developing Godforge. So just kind of keep you in the loop on the art and design side of things. And I'll start with you this time, Dirk. What is kind of your overall impression as of right now? Kind of what's been going good, coming together properly, and then what are some of the things to improve on here from the design side?
Oh, yes. I mean, a big push we've been going for is trying to get all the characters we want in for the beta, and very excited with how many characters we're gonna have. First of all, in the beta, our beta is gonna have, I think, more characters than like a lot of games launch with normally these days. So that's going really great for us. Good variety in them too. I feel like our mechanics have come a long way from where we started, without having to create too many new features. We didn't kind of better like push the bounds of what we have. And like you were saying the same thing too. You're like, oh man, like some of my first characters, I want to go back now because I feel like some of these new ones we're making are so much cooler. And so I am very excited for people to start checking out these characters once we get them like playable for everyone else. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's going fantastic right now. Boss is coming through the pipe, which kind of an extension of the characters because what are you fighting with them? So it's going along, and then I guess things we're working on improving. The big push right now is the first time user experience. We've got to make sure the tutorials quick and quick and clean to get through. I think that's one of the top areas because a lot of things you can do the tutorial, like you can go the the Dark Souls route, which when I tried doing in a game in the past, where it's like you give the players more freedom in the tutorial, but then by giving them more freedom, the tutorial suddenly takes 20, 30 minutes to complete, and that's obviously not acceptable because Raid felt like it was way too long with tutorial, and that takes you like 2 minutes. So there's kind of a delicate balance to be there.
Yeah, I don't
What's
know if I
improving.
can if I can speak for everybody, but I know for me, it's so annoying when I'm trying a new game and I'm like, just let me take over. Like, just let me
Yeah, I know. Well,
play.
that's all I always feel too is like, don't hold my hand because I'm not learning anything when if you're just telling me to do something and then I do it, I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just clicking whatever's glowing. But then, like I said, if you have too much freedom, that's where all of a sudden you do spend a lot of time learning. But next thing you know, you've spent 30 minutes of tutorial instead of going like, do I actually play this game for real, or am I just doing tutorials forever? So that was like something we found in the past was can't as much as it's nice to, especially maybe a game like this, you just can't give too much freedom in the tutorial because you still want it fast and you want people because ultimately you want people into the game where they are no longer being handheld or even told what to do, where you're just on your own and get to play the game. So try to get people there as quick as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a couple things I want to ask you and chat about in terms of design, but then for your overall picture, Dane, from the art side, things been going good, better than you thought, worse than you thought. What's kind of I know I don't get to talk with you as much as I get to talk with Dirk, working together on design. So what's kind of like the general overview to update everybody on the art side?
Get to. You mean obligated to.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, forced to. Yeah, it's weird. I don't think I've really talked to you guys since San Francisco. Like everyone's departments have flushed out so much, and everyone has so much stuff to do that the project's just gotten really big, and there is an issue of scalability. Like everything felt like it's kind of going fine, but you hit this critical mass of like things that need to get done with cinematics and the animated cutscenes, and then just animation and VFX, new characters, all this stuff, and how they relate with each other. that stuff starts to bog down. But the character concepts are strong. We've almost knocked out all the commons and rares. So it's almost like, okay, all the kind of rank and file, the most expected designs, if we're talking about like, I don't know, the historical cliches or cultural mythological cliches, have sort of been addressed. And we're in that stage now where the concept artists are getting a pipeline and leeway to make really inventive, cool new things, that really speak to Godforge and not just to any sort of mythologically based IP. So that's exciting, and we've gotten quite a lot of new people working on technical art and looking at new concept artists all the time. So it's good. It's good, but there's a lot to do.
I know one that's been leaked recently was the design for Hell. I know with Halloween, and that's been I think that's been one that we really liked internally, and one that's been received pretty positively in terms of one that went really well.
Yeah, it's got mute Marade here. Marade, quiet. Yeah, it's kind of interesting though, because anytime you hold something up to the light, all the you can see the cracks, and so it's a really good process to check all our animation and VFX pipelines and make sure that our VFX artists have concepts, illustrated concepts, and we need artists for that. Everything is so layered. So Hell's great. But as soon as you make something really good, it's like the next worst thing is now the thing you see. Like, let's say you fix something and like, okay, well now this looks great. Now the next thing kind of shows up, and you always want to, obviously, you want everything to look immaculate, but you make calls. Hell, we have animation going on right now with a new like animation group, and testing that out should be really good.
I think she turned out fantastic. It was like one of the ones I was super excited in designing with how she turned out, but there was a lot of like elements to the design that I want to make sure like matched on the model. And you guys, yeah, I think you guys far exceeded what I expected from that one, because I was worried about like, oh man, I hope they get her like half and half, kind of undead side with her like life side, and I look at a small, like all we have is a little like not even a one sentence like brief to go off of that we're giving you guys, and you guys just took that and just like, man, it turned out so good. I think it's one of those things, like it's kind of joking before, but whenever we're like looking up the stuff for these characters, we're like, what does this guy look like? And then so you kind of do like a Google image search just with some character's name, like Kamazachi. You're like, all right, what does this guy look like here? And you'll find some pictures, but for a lot of these guys, they're so, I don't know, not the biggest in their pantheon. So there's not a lot of artwork of these people. So it's like, we're kind of hoping that like we become that artwork. You're going to search like, like one of these characters up, and the first thing you're going to find is some badass Godforge picture. Some kid doing a school project on this is going to be putting together like a mural with that. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
No pressure, Dane. But I guess from the viewer standpoint, probably what they would be curious about, or I know what I would be curious about if I was watching, is from the art side. And before we move on to Dirk, from the art side, do you feel like we're like ahead of schedule? I know, because we're being pretty ambitious, wanting to be one of the upper tier games in terms of volume of heroes that we launch with. You feel like it's we're ahead of schedule on the pipeline, or falling behind, or kind of holding serve?
I feel like, well, I know we've already made some concessions to the overall initial release. So in terms of how many heroes are released. So to the updated numbers, we're right on schedule. I wouldn't say we're ahead or behind. Yeah, we're doing as expected. There's a little bit of variability because the legendaries and the really unique heroes and the really unusual heroes, like most of the heroes we've dealt with, still kind of constrain to a standard heroic or an extra long exaggerated heroic body type. We only have those 4 types. But obviously we have a lot of other creatures and beasts and lizard men, werewolf types, and sphinxes, and so there's variability in there. And also some of these characters are like Hindu gods with 1,000 heads and 8 arms and or unusual weapons, or the Baba Yaga, who's like a little hut on chicken legs. And we have to decide which one of those are going to be sort of reimagined into a kind of standard humanoid shape, or get the unique treatment because we think it's a really cool idea that fits well within the broader kind of pantheon of our characters. So all that stuff takes longer anytime you do something a bit more different. But I think we're on a good schedule. I know a couple podcasts ago, a lot of the new guys, all these new guys are new people have been on. So like Damon, Daniel, Danborth, Joel, Marcelo, and then the Chris Spears. These are the guys. I think they're on the last one. So people probably have a good insight to what those guys have to say and all their experience. But the point is that the level of our, I don't want to say professionalism, but our organization and our like the logic of where we invest effort is way better than it used to be. So that also puts us, much better on schedule. We were never really on schedule before. It's like we thought we were, but you can't know what you don't know sometimes. And that now I think we are on schedule.
It's
So
like now you know. Well, you can definitely see the difference too, because just like earlier in the project, I could keep an eye on all the art as it was coming through to give it, a little critique, pretty much on every piece. Like, oh, this is a little off, or this sword, a little weak, whatever. Now it's just like, I try to just make sure I'll just like go into that like Discord tab and just scroll through it. Like it's so much stuff coming through now. It's hard to keep up with it. So yeah, that's it is pretty exciting.
Sort of an interesting spot we've reached because design and art kind of got on their own train tracks and had to, charge full steam ahead. We're at a stage with the like bosses and environments where because it's not just I tell Maraid, okay, wait till I'm done. And narrative. We didn't really talk about narrative, but narrative and the story writing and the cutscenes and all the cinematics, they also feed into the environments and the design. And we're at this point right now with environment work that we need those things to really like synergize again. Everyone got to like silo and like work really hard in their own departments. And now it's like, oh, bring them back in because we don't want to waste any effort doing stuff that's wrong, doing stuff that will need to be redone, or just holding up a department, say like environment and stages and all the like boss battle arenas. So that's kind of exciting. It's because now it's like, oh, kind of like what you're saying, like, yeah, I know design's doing stuff, but I don't even know all the keywords right now. I'd have to like go back in, and I know, and Henry is doing great on the UI stuff. And that department, I used to have a total eye on everything, but now it's gotten too big. They're doing too much work, and I can't focus on what UI is doing day to day. It's broad strokes. So anyway, there wasn't a real question asked, but there is this thing where like I think the department's got to work really hard for a while to push for our different builds and our demos, but now they got to come together and have a good like.
Well, everyone's so, I don't know. We have a lot of talent in the company now, so it's really nice. Like, you don't have to watch over other departments in a sense. So if like with Henry in his UI, I'm working with it right now with the tutorial stuff, but man, his quality is so good. So anything he does is like, well, anything I say is going to be like probably just wrong to you. Cause like I can describe something and then whatever you're doing is just, I look at it like, yeah, more of that. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
But I feel like even like the character designs now, you guys have gotten it down so, I don't know, pretty well. Like we updated the briefs and like I better reference material to go off of. But I feel like I don't really have to worry about certain key elements of characters getting missed. It seems like everyone's going to be like a master's degree level mythologist by the end of this, and like both the design team and the art team here. You guys got these down now. Even little key things where like shoot, maybe the brief didn't really express like how important it was for this character to have like a dragon on his shoulder. Then look at the character who's got a dragon on the shoulder. Okay, well, I guess they just knew. So.
Yeah.
Good job.
Go ahead, Dane.
It's always a balancing act though, because if you had a game with only 8 characters, we would be running focus groups and we'd be doing all this A/B testing, internal stuff. And the truth of this genre is that some characters just don't matter as much as others. They all matter in the sense that it's like this collective presentation of like choices and options and things in your like little action figure tool set, that even if there's something you choose not to use because the meta and whatever, for whatever reason, this stuff very good, or you just don't like the design, you still wanted to think all those choices were like kind of like viable or interesting. It's like nothing's presented as like, oh, this is strictly trash. This is just here for you to ignore and move on. And so, yeah, it's like we're always doing the best we can, but we really want to put all that time into the coolest characters that people are going to resonate with.
What were you going to say, Dirk?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say the same thing, just even on design side. Now, a lot of these characters, like, I'll get a character and I'll start making like, you're working on the kit, like you read the research on him, you're like, oh, this guy's a badass. Like, I want to give him a worthy kit of this, and then you look back, you're like, wait, what does he get? Rare, damn it! Like it's like you want. I've like got all these things in my mind where this guy's gonna be like, the equivalent of like a void legendary. He's gonna be so awesome. And you're like, so regular rare. You're like,
I always have to
man.
push back on Dirk in design because of this, because Dirk will make some super strong hero, and I'll be like, Dirk, this ability's too strong. Well, I mean, it has to be strong. It's such and such. And you say that no matter who it is. Well, they have to be strong because it's so and so. I'm like, well, if you say that 200 times.
I said no such thing about FTV, although I made her kit really good, so we'll see.
But even like with the VFX and their abilities, right? Like, okay, talking about Odysseus is not a spoiler, right? Like he's just is he?
Yeah.
Okay, he's great.
I think that's actually safe. Yeah.
Yeah. He's in there, and but like sometimes their moves are so iconic for referring to major Greek mythological elements that they feel underserved if we don't put a good amount of effort into something, without getting into too much of the details. And even though it's a rare character, you're like, oh, this is worth it. Like, this is a cool move. Everyone recognizes it because this character has been in so many movies and has been reimagined so many times in various pop culture and media that they're going to get a little bit of extra effort, even though their move probably won't be meta, in Endgame.
Yeah, no, I know.
But still, I think it's worth it because that journey as you move through the game, because not everyone's like a pro raid player to hopping over or any other type of hero collector. Maybe it's their first time. This thing is cool, and you still want them to have like a nice ramp up. And maybe they only play for 80 hours. They don't get into the super end game, and the time they spent with the lower level stuff was still fun.
Yeah, and that's the idea too, is that like if you don't get an epic or a legendary in your first few months, whatever, playing because maybe you don't have a lot of time to play, you're not spending a lot, you stand on the farm, whatever. You should still have plenty of characters to enjoy. Like there's so many, like a Spartan is like an uncommon, and he's pretty good. Like looks cool, like fun to play with. Like there's a lot of characters like that. It's like in their own. If the game was like just a Greek mythology game, some of these characters like Odysseus or like a Spartan, like you can easily make a case like, oh yeah, you can be a legendary. Spartan should be like an epic, but it's just like the game isn't just Greek, and there's so many things in the faction, and it's like it's hard. Sometimes you got to put some big names down pretty low in the rarity.
Yeah, that's always shocking.
But yeah, it's so hard to like not give them like the majesty they deserve, I guess. So like,
I had a question for you guys, since Brad, you always ask the questions, but kind of going back to what you guys were talking about the tutorials. I think everyone hates the tutorial. It's necessary, but no one wants to do it when you're playing a game. So, is there any thought about times when you naturally like reach a point in the game organically where like, oh, I'm starting to feel a little underpowered for things, and like in other games, and it's usually when they start talking to you about crafting, like, oh, if your weapons aren't strong enough, here's a way to upgrade them. You're probably starting to notice that you're not gathering things very efficiently anymore. Oh, here's a way to upgrade your bread basket and whatever. Like, are we doing stuff like that, or is it just that initial 2-minute? Here's what the buttons do, and get on with your life.
Well, yeah, both. You're getting that first like initial like hand holding. This is how you play the game. We don't want you to click something wrong because we want you to at least know the basics of what you're supposed to tap to get around. It's like the early navigation and then just how to play. Hopefully that's only a couple minutes long. Past that, as you unlock features through the game behind like account level or just progress, you'll then get they'll have its own little tutorial. So like when you get I don't know, can we say imprints? I guess like when you get that unlocked on your account, that'll have its own tutorial for it. We're not like just shoving. It's too much to shove everything in the first beginning of the game because all of a sudden you're going like, do I even like use this for the next week or two? Yeah, so you should hopefully get things like bite-sized chunks when it's relevant to you.
And also we want like a section where a player can go when they're in the mood, oh, they're laying in bed, they're just looking to gain some information on the game, like a university type section where you can go and flip through a few different infographics and a few different pro tips and things you might have missed of like, oh, okay, that's cool knowledge to know. Oh, that's the strong hit chance, that's the weak hit chance. So like a section people can go to get more into the weeds and pursue that on their own time instead of us having to constantly hold their hand and take over their device and force them to kind of sit through things for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I don't even know how to describe this phenomenon because, I've been in designing games in a while, just in the art side, but I have this phenomenon, like, especially when I play with my partner, and she plays plenty of video games. She knows video games, but she's not like a gamer. And we're playing, I don't know, just like Resident Evil remake, whatever, and she grabs a thing and she's like, oh, should I just mod this in? Or like they just give it to us. I'm like, no. Don't ever just like immediately do the thing. It's almost never the right choice. You always feel like don't, which feels wrong. Like you think you should play with the systems as they're presented, but some games have such hard cutoffs in how you like craft or modify or like level your characters that you get this weird gamer instinct where you're like, no, don't do it. It's always wrong to do the first thing they offer you. There's always a better choice later.
Yeah,
I don't know
waste
how
your
you balance
resources on
that. What's that?
Yeah, like the idea of like don't waste your resources upgrading that. You're gonna
Don't waste
get rid
waste
of it. You'll get a better one like in the second chapter.
Yeah, it's like when you'll start playing one of those city builder games and it's teaching you how to build, and then it says, now click to spend 100 gems to speed up your farm. And it's like, no, I don't want.
You're like hoping you can like crash the game to skip that in some way just to save the 100 gems. You know it's a waste.
You're like, I don't want to spend
100 gems. Yeah, I'm gonna save what 7 minutes? Come on.
It'd be interesting though, but some games do this well. I don't have a one off the top of my head, but I feel like I don't know. It'll probably come to me in a moment too. But there's times where there's a certain tier of the gameplay experience where the resources are almost infinite, and none of the things you do really matter, and you can move things around without any sort of like big cost, and that allows people to like not make big decisions that they're kind of committed to without having enough information, like enough game knowledge, and I don't know if you guys can speak to that. Is that something we've also said? Like, is there a time where like, yeah, I just move stuff around, try things, and then later when you know a bit more, now, oh, because we know if you just try things indefinitely with no cost, that kind of takes some of the like, it doesn't feel as
like build permanence. I think
Yeah.
a lot of games, will end up lacking. When you feel like one of the fun things is to be like, this is my character. This is how I built them. And you want to like show it off. I know Ash is a lot of his content he puts on a YouTube raid is very much in that vein of like, this is how I built this character. And like he's always like proud to show it off. And it's cool. And that's like for me, that's one of the fun parts of a game. It's like making a unique build for a character where it feels special. You're like, I can't wait to go own someone in PvP with this. And because they're probably not expecting this or something, right?
By the way, Dirk, to your point, quick shout out teaser. We may have a mode in the game. Well, that's an even bigger deal. Showcasing a build.
Yeah. So all about like showing off builds because it's like I don't know, expressing your creativity, I guess. And everyone wants to do that, like in the game. It's just fun to do. That's why people play games where you get to customize stuff, right? So shit. Let's get a little off track. Wait, Dane, what were you asking that about?
Oh, it's more like so that I understand the importance of committing to a build, and like putting time into it and like
Oh,
testing it. But
yeah,
there's
then
but there's like
research,
there's an earlier step where you don't want people to like not do anything because they know
right,
more important
yeah.
later.
We're trying to, I guess, so we want you always broke when it comes to your resources. Like you always should be using them, and you always should feel like you need more. Like, oh shit, I gotta go farm some more, or whatever. Because it does always feel stupid. Like I don't know. One of the things I had in Watcher of Realms, I felt like I had infinite gold making. It was like I could never upgrade enough stuff because you just know immediately before you even really commit to upgrading anything if it's garbage or not. You rarely ever get anything worth upgrading, and you just end up at a point where you just have literally it's infinite gold. Like I might as well not even show me a number at this point. And so we don't want that because if there's something in the game that is supposed to feel valuable, like it needs to feel like scarce enough, or you just need to be using it in quantities where you always feel like you want to get more. But not at the cost, I guess, like experimentation. So we are kind of trying to like we have an attunement system plan in the game. So we will have free gear swapping. And oh, you have free gear swapping. Now it feels like you don't really have a build because I can just put my best stuff on whoever I'm using for this content. But we have an attunement system that will add a feeling of permanence to that, where it's okay, well, there was free swapping, but I can attune it. Now it's part of this character, and I want to keep it on this character, but try to save my resources here. So yeah, it's all about like I guess balancing. Like same thing with like in the game when you're playing the game modes. One thing that we like a lot is like being able to experiment with different teams, try to beat content, more efficiently or with just different characters, whatever, different builds. Not having you just blow all your energy just to try out different things. So there'd be like almost like a test version of a lot of the content. Once you beat it, you get like a practice mode where you'll get the like freedom to go and practice, try out different, team compositions, builds on your characters without burning it through all your energy. And then when you want to commit to it, then you can farm it with your energy. So we'll have a lot of things like that where it's like, yes, your resources will be limited when it comes to farming and upgrading your gear and all that, but you should be able to always experiment with different builds.
I need to give the host legal disclaimer that all of this is subject to change, and we can't confirm any of these features or
yeah. This is like our goals, right? This is just some of these.
that's the
If it
tough
doesn't
part.
make it, that'd be unfortunate, but know that we are trying to. Well, at least everything we push in a direction, like I said, where you will have the ability to experiment. 'Cause it's something that's really important to all of us. I know, especially Paul too. Paul's like that's his first thing. He'll always like harp on is like, well, I want to be able to test something because Paul loves he loves testing out stuff. Obviously, it's his whole like YouTube channel, right? It's like showing off how to beat content with different builds and all that too.
Hey, he's talking about
And
Saphira. Paul
yeah,
is Saphira.
Saphira. So it's very important to all of us that you could try out different builds or different ways to beat content, and it not hit you in your wallet to do so, just to like
That's the hard part about what we're doing is in trying to be transparent so early in the development processes. Because what I can't wait for is the day when we can sit here and have the game up and we could just
Yeah.
show you the game while we're talking and be like, oh yeah, this hero, this was the concept that you're seeing right here on the screen. This is where it came from. Instead of us always having to be vague and talk kind of in, well, hopefully this happens and not be able to kind of show you. So it's going to be exciting when we finally hit like the beta phases and stuff.
But at the very least, know that that's what's on the table now. If it doesn't make it in launch, it would likely get it soon after. That's always like the hope then. So
And some of these things are just like philosophical goals. Like,
right, yeah.
if it's everything in practice, it changes a bit. And also you can't control exactly how people play. So if you have the best intentions in your setup, people just might not play that way. And you make allowances for that, I assume.
But we have a lot of build like potential in our game for trying out different things, and we want that to be accessible for everyone.
Yeah, that's something that's for sure going to be a thing, I believe, in our game, is there's going to be a lot more potential for mixing and matching and really putting your spin on how you want to do a build, because there's going to be a little bit more moving parts, I think, than most of the games in the genre launch with. Am I right, Dirk?
Yeah, oh yeah, because that was like I don't know, just when I was like new in the genre, it's always fun to get a character, and then like you go on YouTube, whatever, you're like, how do I what do I do with this guy? Like, what does it? Because you get a legendary. You're early on. You don't have a lot of legendaries. It's exciting when you get one. You're like kind of crossing your fingers. He doesn't suck. You're like checking a tier list or something, and then you're seeing like, well, where do people use this guy? Like, how do I use him? Where do I put him in? And it's always like kind of I don't know, disappointing sometimes when you look at the character and it's just like, oh, okay, he's usable, but what do I build him in? Oh, crit chance, crit damage, attack, some speed. Okay, just generic damage, like just the same thing I'd put on 90% of my damage dealers. Like we want you to look at a character and be like, what do I do with this guy? How do I play him? And then you to actually have like a lot of options and not just like the generic, boring like stats. Get lots of stats, and these 4 stats particularly, like there should be, like I said, like Ash will be putting out videos like crazy and just like, oh, this is how I built this guy, and everyone will have their own spin on what you're saying. So that's
One thing that's
definitely
kind of like that I found, especially in other genres of games, is how much flexibility do you have to take a character that you really like who might not be that good, but can you like kit them out to be near enough? Like if you just really like this character, like their animation, their look, or it's like, I don't know, I play these old games like Cold Step, which are these weird like board/card game, like deck builder games on like PS4 and stuff like that. And sometimes you just had like cool cards, you just want to play them. And you're like, I know this card isn't the best card, but I like this type of deck or I like this type of team. So you're willing. I played some other gotchas like Puzzle and Dragon back in the day, Terra Battle. These are like crazy hero collectors. And you could do stuff to make characters that you like up close or near enough to the characters that were the most like the ideal choice, because maybe the design you didn't like as much. You're like, I don't want to play this like fat troll. I'd rather play this like hot babe,
you got to bring your waifu,
but
in
she's
there,
not as good. But can I
not
make her as
war
good?
mother.
Or I like this cool like nunchuck guy, and because he's the only nunchuck guy. I know we're not trying to get into spoilers or something, but like our equip system, I assume has some degree of that. Like you can outfit the hero you like to be competitive within
Yeah,
a range.
yeah. Well, first of all, I think none of our rares suck, which is good. So everything that's like raring up should be like obviously legendaries. We've got them built where they just have better stat budget, more powerful like buffs and debuffs, and just the kit overall is a little more complex. It can do more. You should get a lot more mileage out of them. But I think epics certainly will be very much viable. But even a decent amount of rares depending on how to build them. But also even for characters that don't pan out to be like super viable in all, in like in some of the rares and whatnot, there should still be a bit of like excitement when you get some of them because of the imprint. Which, Brent, how should we talk about the imprint system? I don't want this to be like the imprint
You're
spoiling.
like worried that we're gonna have to,
Yeah,
we might be leaking features, but it's
if it's
fine.
something that cut out here, but there will be a way to use your rare characters, epics, and other, I guess, legendaries too. But even if they might not be viable as the character themselves, a part of that character may be viable on a different character who is meta. So we'll say that. So even if there's a character, you get someone like a Lady Zoc, like she's just not that good. I got another character who kind of does the same thing, but just a little bit better. Why would I ever use Lady Zoc? And you're a little bit that one part of Lady Zoc though, and you're like, that one part would be really good on this character though. So then you get that Lady Zoc, and all of a sudden you're like, cool. I don't need her specifically, but I need this from her. So yeah, there will be a
That's
lot of that.
interesting.
So I'm thinking most of the cast will be relevant, I guess, when you get the polls. You won't just like pop a 10 pack of like, rares, whatever, a 10 pull of rares, get them, and then be like, not even look. Because that's kind of how what happens in a lot of gacha games is like, unless you're seeing gold, you almost just don't even care. Even like it gets to the point with epics sometimes, like you'll do a 10 pull, and then normally if you're a new player, you see 4 epics pop up at a 10 pull, you're like, oh shit, jackpot. But then like later on in the game, you see 4 epics pull up in a 10 pull, you don't even look at who they are. Yeah, I think that will never be the case in art.
Yeah, and we want a way to mitigate that. Well, yeah, this has been a great chat, guys. And before we kind of wrap up, I did want to ask each of you, just on a personal level, is there any games you've been playing recently? Is there anything that's really taking up your time and you've been spending a lot of time with? I'll start with you, Dane.
Well, I played the Monster Hunter Wilds early access kind of, I don't know, demo. And I mean, I'm a big Monster Hunter fan. I wasn't in that game for like a long time, and then in Monster Hunter World, started playing that. And that game just looks incredible. Like I can't and there's a lot of cues we're taking from it too, in terms of when we redid some of the rigging for our characters, even though we're on mobile, the additional bones where their armor and their accessories kind of move around and like they animate in a more interesting way. So Monster Hunter Wilds comes out like in February next year. That'll probably be my obsession then. Otherwise, what's weird, and again, this is a little bit of like playing with who you live with or whoever you get to play games with. Just Resident Evil remakes. Like we played Resident Evil 4 remake again, then we went into Resident Evil 7, even though it's kind of a weird one.
Resident Evil is a cool IP, so
It's the perfect mix of, it's almost as entertaining if you're the one playing or you're the person who's looking things up. Like it's just the right mix of, it's like not too complicated. You can hand the control off back and forth, and everyone can play. They don't have to be like a first person shooter whiz. So that, weirdly, also just because I'm working on this so much, I can't get so hard into a game. So it's like Resident Evil is like this weird balance. It's like the most, I guess, for an hour and a half, you can get something out of it.
yeah, nice. Very, very cool choices. I'm not super experienced with either one of those, but I definitely know the Resident Evil IP, and it's very good. How about you, Dirk? You've been doing like Deadlock or something, right?
Yeah, it's Deadlock. I did cut out like all gotchas and weightlifting to make time for it, but Deadlock has been a lot of fun because I've been playing Dota since like it was a Modern Warcraft 3. Played League of Legends since beta. I mean, on and off, not continuously, but like I love those types of games. And they've both kind of gotten stale, so it's really nice to have like a fresh game to learn in the genre. And then it's also fun because it's a third person shooter. And I never played any like I mean, I played a ton of Destiny with Dane, but the gun mechanics in that game, obviously that's a first person shooter versus third person, so this movement feels a little different, which I'm actually terrible with third person. I crash into stuff all the time. But then yeah, just like working on your aim and stuff like that, trying to learn how to like lead your targets or tracking better in a game that doesn't have hit scan bullets. I don't know, it's just like fun to have like something I went into and like immediately just sucked. I mean, like you suck, and you're like, oh man, I haven't sucked at a game in a long time because everything I've played, like everything is like a remake now, or like not a remake or like a sequel. So it's like, yeah, okay, everything I go into lately, I've already like mastered the first game. Like Elden Ring came out. Okay, I play all the Dark Souls. I'm already like, I'm good at this type of game. And like, that's how kind of just feels like most modern games now. It's just something that I'm already good at. I've been playing my whole friggin' life. And it's just the next slightly different version of it came out. But this was like a brand new experience that you're going into, you just absolutely horrible at, and I just want to like I want to not be a noob, basically. I want to own noobs.
That's right.
Get to the point where I can crush noobs. That's important.
I haven't tried that one yet, but I'm sure I will at some point. I'm sure we'll be playing Deadlock at some point. I'll try it out. For me, it's been a lot of Factorio Space Age. They released their expansion pack, and so I wanted to get all the achievements and beat the game. So I've been doing Factorio Space Age, and then just the same old Age of Empires 4, just doing team games and ranking up the ladder. So kind of same old for me.
Factorio, Space Age. I mean, get ready, man. We got some tariffs on the line coming up here. You might have to be opening up your own factory soon.
Yeah. Factorio is such an amazing game, but I feel like it's a game that's hard to recommend because like it's going to be very polarizing. Like people are either going to be like, this is ridiculously dumb. Why do you play this? Or they're going to be like, this is amazing. I want to play this for 1,000 hours. It's not really a game that anybody can just pick up and enjoy, I don't think.
But from one of those things too, like I was just
games
saying,
like that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, if it's like different from what you normally play, though, going into a game like that, even the premise. I don't know too much about that. You're just like running a factory, right? And just trying to make
Yeah,
it super.
you're it's kind of like you crash land on a planet and there's aliens that you upset by polluting their environment, and the more pollution you do, the aliens will like attack you and try to kill you. And so you're trying to like not pollute too much, but also build a big factory so you can like launch into space and kind of get off this
And get
planet
out.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Really, really cool game. But yeah, it's mostly like efficiency management and lots of brain power on, okay, what resource do I get and how do I,
Yeah.
bring it in and filter it through my factory and expand and grow. So it takes a lot of brain power, and there's people way smarter than me that just do insane
Yeah.
things, and I'm just like,
Because it's like a
wow.
puzzle to solve, man.
Yeah. It's like
Because normally,
programming.
if I hear the premise of the game, I'm going, well, I'm not building a factory. It's going to kill the aliens. But that's like what I'm used to and would be good at. But then you go in a game like that, and you're probably like, well, I've never done it before. I suck at it. And then like that
But you would need to
desire
ramp
for-
up. You would need to ramp up to, because like
Yeah.
as you get further away, the aliens nests get bigger and bigger and they evolve over time. So you need to like constantly kind of develop your factory to produce better weapons and artillery and rockets. And you can't just, because you start with like a pistol and you got to like constantly tech up. And but yeah, we're going into the weeds anyway. But that's kind of what we've been playing recently. But hey, this was fun, guys. Dane, Dirk, thanks for joining. And for all of you watching, if you would like to click down below, we will provide links to stuff like the Discord server where you can pop in and share your opinions on Godforge, the game that we're developing here. So yeah, thanks guys. Cheers. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode.